morning, everybody. Happy Friday. How are you? So good to see you. So glad that you're here. Really excited that we get to spend some more time together talking about data science, and also really excited we made it to the end of the week. This week, it seems, has gone very fast, guys. I mean, it was the first full week of December, and now we're already at Friday. We're already at the end of the work week, so time is flying by, guys. Time is flying by. But just really happy that we're able to spend some more time together in the community and the fellowship of data science. So glad that you're here. For those of you that are new, the way I like to run my streams is I like to do what's known as our global roll call. That's where we invite you to let us know your city, state, province, country. Just a quick way for you to introduce yourself, be part of the chat, be professional, carry ourselves in a professional way. And then after that, I like to give an opening note. Sometimes I'll just share a general thought with you guys. And then I'm happy to take your questions after that. After that, basically you guys set the agenda. You tell me what you want to talk about, and we'll just see where the conversation leads us. We've had really, really good luck with that. You guys come up with some great questions. Yesterday, I think we had some great discussion about, describing AI, describing, kind of our thoughts about agents, AGI. So really good stuff, really good stuff. So we'll see where the conversation leads us. I do have an article that I posted in the Discord for us to think about. So we can definitely, start looking at that too. We'll just see where it goes, right? So start filling up my chat. I'm already seeing some people there in my chat. Thank you so much. Feel free to fill up my chat with your introduction, your city, state, province, country. And then, we'll see where we go. For my opening note, I wanted to just kind of give a little bit of a summary of all the nonsense that has happened on my Instagram account over the past 24 hours. Man, some of these computer science graduates are sensitive. Jeez. Take it easy, guys. Just because you picked the wrong degree doesn't mean you got to take it out on other people. So I've been posting a lot of video replies recently. I've just been in the mood to do more video replies. Just keep it fun, keep it different. And I did post about how there's basically no safe jobs, jobs that will be safe from AI in the future, right? At least in the IT world, right? IT world and beyond that a little bit. But don't take it personally, guys. Don't take it personally. One, I'm just giving my opinion, right? Two, you can choose to agree or disagree. And three, if it's something that concerns you, then choose to do something about it. Don't choose to complain, choose to improve yourself, right? That's how we move forward. We move forward by improving ourselves, not by sitting around and complaining, right? I mean, that's kind of like the worst option you can pick. So I can appreciate, that some of the stuff I post might scare some people, might discourage some people, even though I don't intend it that way. But that's just the way it goes sometimes, right? So stay encouraged, stay aware of the changes that are out there, and keep asking yourself what you can do to adapt, because the change is coming no matter what you think about it. The change is coming. The only question is, what are you going to do about it, right? I mean, we control our responses, right? We can't control what happens to us, but we can control our responses. So how are you going to respond to the changing landscape of AI? I mean, that's really the question you should be asking yourself, right? So think about that, right? Don't be so sensitive about the stuff that some guy on Instagram posts. All right, so let me take a look at my chat. Again, you guys are welcome to introduce yourselves, city, state, province, country, and we'll just kind of go from there. Look at this. I think this is the first time we've had this. Look at the first 4 entries on the chat. Instagram, Kick, YouTube, and Twitch. One from every platform. All we need is somebody from X on there. But yeah, look at that. I love that. So starting from the top, IT professional, Faiz from Manama, Bahrain. Nice. Bahrain. I think you might be our first viewer from Bahrain. I'm trying to think. I think you might be our first viewer from Bahrain. So welcome, IT professional. Hope you're doing well. If there's anything else you'd like to share about yourself, feel free to. We'll also, happy to take your questions. If you have questions on data science, your career, or something else we can help you with, let me know. Makuda, our friend on Kick, says, hi, Sir Dennis. Hey, Makuda, nice to see you again. Makuda from Saleh, Morocco, so hope you're doing well out there. Let us know how you're doing. I don't know if it ever gets too cold in Morocco, but I'm assuming it's a little bit on the cooler side this time of year. But let us know how you're doing out there, Makuda. Nice to see you. Denelson, our good friend from LA, says, good morning, Dennis. Happy Friday, everyone. Happy Friday to you too, Denelson. We made it to the end of the week, guys. So we're almost at the weekend. We're almost ready to start Saturday and Sunday. But yeah, I think it is going to be a happy Friday today, Denelson. So hope you're doing well out there in LA. Rex, on the opposite coast, Rex says, good morning, data heads. Happy to be here and learn more about data science. Data heads, yeah, I like it, Rex. I like it. So Rex, so glad to see you here. If you guys see that special icon next to Rex, that means he's one of my moderators. So please always thank and follow the moderators on their channels because it's a volunteer job. They help me out a lot. So really appreciate them. Starry Vibes, our good friend Starry Vibes is back. How are you? I haven't seen you in a little while. Hello, sir. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing very well. Thank you. Let us know what you've been up to if you'd like. Haven't seen you in a little while, but glad to see that you're back. So I hope you're doing well. Osama, our good friend Osama, also from Morocco, says, hello, sir. I hope everything is going well. I think everything is going very well. Very well. I've been up for a few hours today because I've been giving a lot of replies online. I'm also prepping some stuff for Sunday's class. This Sunday class is going to take a lot of preparation. But yeah, I'm doing very well. I hope the same for you. Hope the same for you, Osama. Let us know how you're doing out there. Matari, you're back. Nice to see you, Matari. Matari says, good morning, Sir Dennis, and hello, everybody. Hello to you too, Matari. Hope that you're doing well. Glad to see you back. I know it's not your first time, but welcome back. Makuda says, yes, it's a little bit cold here, but sunny. Nice. Nice. I'm sure that when it's sunny out there, it's just beautiful out there. So glad that you're here, Makuda. Hey, my name is Yuvraj and I'm from India. How are you? Hey, Yuvraj, nice to see you. Welcome. I'm pretty sure it's your first time. So thank you so much for introducing yourself. Glad to see you here. Hope you're doing well. Let us know what part of India. India is a big and diverse country. So let us know what part, but glad you're here. If there's something we can help you with, let us know. Feel free to put a question in the comments, okay? Okay, so IT professional, he's done with the introductions. He wants to get into questions. I am a final year part-time PhD student and my research area is AI in education. As lots of things changing in AI, what is a good suggestion about careers? Well, it depends. What were some of the reasons that you chose to pursue a PhD? That's probably where I would start questioning, right? Like, why are you in a PhD program? Like, what led you there? Because some of those reasons that led you there might still be okay. They might still be valid, right? Just because, AI is here doesn't mean that your inherent reasons for doing a PhD are different or bad, right? So let me know. Give us a little bit more detail there, right? Because it's kind of hard to help you there unless we know a little bit of that background. Now, you guys know that I'm very much a proponent of AI, right? I keep on telling you guys how I think it's going to change. Things are going to change very, very quickly, right? But that doesn't invalidate you. It doesn't invalidate your reasons or your the fundamental reasons you chose to be on the path that you're on, right? So whether you're in a PhD program or a particular job, a particular industry that you like, that's okay, right? You just kind of have to learn how to work around AI and understand how it fits you and how you can adapt to it. That doesn't always mean that you should be immediately changing courses, you know, and I don't mean like class courses, I mean like the course of your life just because AI comes along, right? So maybe I should be doing a little bit more of that, like recalibrating about that, because I'm definitely pro AI, definitely very excited about it. I definitely encourage all of you to be more AI minded, but you know, there's still reasons why you wanted to be in that space, right? Okay, so IT professional adds, because I wanted to go for academics initially when I started a PhD. Okay, all right, so that means that, you know, you want to teach at a very high level, right? Because only the highest levels require a PhD, right? Doesn't take a PhD to be a high school teacher, right? Okay, so if you want to go into academics, right, you want to teach at a high academic level, then AI hasn't necessarily changed that. It's become a new tool for you so that you can be AI aided, but I don't think you need suggestions on careers like your previous question, right? Why change careers? You're just going to adapt it, right? You're just going to adapt to using more of those tools, right? Like, I'm not going to stop being a data scientist just because AI is good at data science. I'm just going to learn to adapt to it, right? So if your fundamental path was, well, I want to be a teacher, or I want to teach academics at a high level, that's still a good path, right? You just got to learn how to assist yourself with it. Does that make sense? If not, let me know. Give me more details, or if anybody else wants to chime in on that. You know, just because you're going to be aided by AI, heavily aided by AI in a lot of cases, that doesn't make you or your reasons inherently wrong, right? So Leo, how are you, Leo? Leo says, print, hello world, hope everyone is doing great. Nice. What a unique entry. Thanks a lot, Leo. Again, guys, Leo is one of my moderators, so big shout out to Leo and Rex for being here. They really helped me out a lot, so, you know, make sure you give them a thank you when you see them. So Leo, glad you're doing well. Let us know how things are going out there in New York City. I'm assuming it's cold, but let me know how it is. Starry Vibe says, I'm fine. I just have classes at the same time as stream. Well, then you got to move that class. You guys can't be going to class. This is class. This is your instruction. Are you telling me that you're getting more out of a class than you are from staying here with your good buddy Dennis? Come on. I'm giving you guys real world stuff, right? I'm giving you real world, like in the trenches, like communication and leadership and data science and tech stuff. Like this is class. This is class. Well, I hope your studies are going well, Starry Vibes. IT professional says thank you. Yeah, you know, I hope that helps. You know, if not, let me know. Feel free to put something. But your desire to be a teacher at a high level is still good, right? AI didn't change that. So Makuta says, I don't want to be offensive, but I find that people often take the IT field from an academic or employee perspective when it opens up a lot of business opportunities. At least I see it from this perspective. That's very interesting. Help me understand what you mean by it opens up a lot of business opportunities. Are you talking about helping the company that you work for? Or are you talking about like some self-employed type of arrangement? Like, what exactly do you mean by opens up a lot of business opportunities? Because I can think of a few answers to that, or what you mean by that. But I'm validating my assumptions here, right? So I want to know what you mean by the business perspective. Okay, Makuta says, no, I mean creating your own business. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I could see that. I think that there's a lot to that. right? You know, and Makuta, I'm really glad you brought this up because that's something I've kind of been thinking about more and more recently. And I think about how if you know that AI is powerful and you know that basically all code in the world is accessible to you, any code you can imagine to write is possible, right? You don't need to have the skills, right? Your employee will write it for you. Then is this the time to kind of explore your own startup, your own application, your own specialized code to help you? Kind of seems like it is, right? Like, isn't this a good time for that? Like, all the code in the world is accessible to you. So how do you best capitalize on it? Well, you best capitalize on it by creating something for yourself, right? Yeah, Makuta says there's no better time than this. Yeah, Makuta, I agree. You know, and like I said, I'm still developing this thought because I've been thinking about it vis-a-vis some conversations I've had in the past week where, you know, there are a lot of opportunities out there. You just have to, you know, move and capitalize on them, right? But it is a very unique time, and there may very well be no better time than this, you know, to Makuta's point there, right? So what do you guys think about that? Let me know. Because, you know, on the flip side of that, we're also talking about academics and studying, right? These programs. And I think that some of those things are going to be redefined in the future as far as how you get to work in some of these fields, some of these professions. I've been toying with the idea that in the future, the training for a data scientist will be completely different than what it is now. Same thing for like software engineers and a lot of IT jobs, right? You will care more about, you know, if you're a manager and you're hiring a data scientist, you will care 10 times more about their prompting skills than their modeling skills, right? At least, you know, like I said, I'm still developing these thoughts, but that feels about right. Where the training that you'll receive and that you'll be like, you know, kind of tested on in interviews or things like that will be a lot more about your prompting skills than it will most other things. Because again, you know, to Makuta's point, there may not be a better time than this to learn that, right? To start jumping ahead and start saying, hey, I want to work on AI or work with AI. I want to come up with some crazy code that I may not have the skills for, but this LLM does, right? So I think it's something that can be scary, right? I hear that as feedback in some of my comments, but it's only scary if you don't prepare for it, right? It's only scary if you don't see it coming, right? But if we see it coming, then let's do something about it, right? Let's work at it. Let's do something. Rex says, the word is that LLMs are getting so good that prompting will matter less. Maybe. I mean, I know that eventually, there will be completely promptless AI and agents and things like that. But here's the thing, Rex. The AI tools, you know, maybe not no matter how good they are, but for a long time from now, they're still going to need to be told what to do. Or they will still need to be corrected about what to do and what not to do, right? Because, you know, I've heard about this use case about how you'll be able to have an agent that can like build your entire startup from the ground up. Like it'll do all the business filings, it'll do the code base, it'll do the GitHub, it'll do like everything, right? Like that's an agent you could have. But it will still make mistakes. It will still need to be guided on what your startup is, what your company goals are, right? So I hear you. Maybe the prompting is less in that scenario, but it's still a dumb object, right? Gen AI is not sentient. It's smart, but it's not sentient. So it will still require a lot of guidance, you know, to start, right? To take that wide view and start narrowing it. And then you also have to show it where it goes wrong, you know, where it should have gone left and instead it went right. So let me know what you think about that, Rex. Leo says, I would love to explore more on Rex's thoughts about what is a good LLM. Yeah. Yeah, what is a good LLM, Rex? What is a good LLM to you? You know what? That's a good question for the chat. Thank you for that, Leo. What is a good LLM to you? Because you know what? Let me give you guys a thought. One of the reasons I love LLMs and why I think people are just like amazed by them is because they can answer any question, right? They're so broad. You can ask it historical questions. You can ask it for travel tips. You can ask it for recipes. You can ask it for relationship advice. Like it's so broad, right? But if you read more about this, the LLMs are becoming much more specialized, right? Like the agent I just described is a very specialized agent to only do like these startup things, right? And there'll be other specialized agents. See, to me, that kind of loses the power of LLMs, right? Like they're supposed to be broad. They're supposed to be smart. So is that a good LLM? Is that an improvement, a better LLM? Maybe, maybe not, right? So put a comment below. What makes a good LLM? I think Rex and Leo are putting up some good questions there. What is a good LLM to you? Let me know. What is a good LLM? Rex says, agree 100%. Makuta says, this is where the management skills are needed. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The management skills to tell it what to do and then to communicate the results, right? So I think you're right there, Makuta. You're on the right track. Hey, it's our good friend Ox. Ox says, hey, Dennis, thank you for all you do. Hey, Ox, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a little bit, so hope you're doing well. Guys, if you want a good follow on Instagram and on YouTube, go follow the Ox if you're interested in cybersecurity. He is an expert at that. You know, just like me, he doesn't put out any nonsense. He doesn't do any BS courses or anything like that. So if you like my content and my style, you'll like him. You know, the only difference is that he does cybersecurity, I do data science, but he's a great follow on Instagram. So make sure you follow him. He's a good guy. Tons of followers also on Instagram. But if you're interested in cybersecurity, you know, and we should be, right? Data security is important to all data scientists. Go make sure you give him a follow. But Ox, thanks for being here. Good to see you. Rex says, I don't think I made any suggestions about what a good LLM is, but the reality is that LLMs in general are advancing rapidly. Yeah. But again, Rex, not to get all rhetorical line, but what's advancement? What's advancement? Like, is going more and more promptless advancement? Or is more data advancement? Or do you guys remember when ChatGPT like first came out? It came out in what? It came out in 2023, I believe. No, 2022. Yeah, it came out in 2022. Do you remember how one of the limitations on it was that it only had knowledge up to 2021? Do you guys remember that? Like, and OpenAI completely acknowledged this, right? They said, look, in our launch version, we can only go up to so much information, or we don't have the latest, right? So is that improvement? Is that improvement to put the latest data in LLMs? I know they've advanced since then, and there's been, you know, ways around that. I get it, right? But is that advancement? If so, that's not Is that a data science advancement, or is that more of like a data management advance? Right? So is that advancement? I don't know. What do you guys think? Rex says, I enjoyed learning how to write prompts and found it quite insightful. But it's true, LLMs are providing good answers with less knowledge about prompting. Yep. So I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but I am curious about what people find about writing good prompts, or because I know that there's like some courses out there or whatever. Let me know if you guys have found one that's really helpful, because some of the prompts or some of the prompt improvements that are out there I think are a little weird. Like I know one of the common ones is you're supposed to assign a role to the LLM, right? You're supposed to say, I want you to act like my publicity director and I want you to write me this, right? That one's kind of weird because the LLM doesn't know what it is. It's not sentient, right? So I don't know. That's kind of a weird one. Is that a good prompt? Is that a good prompting course or prompting best practice? I don't know. Feels a little weird, right? Computer doesn't know what it is. Leo says, "Oh no, Rex has just asked to explore more concepts, more the concept of good LLM." Yeah. So what is it, guys? What is a good LLM? So Denelson is offering his view. I believe a good LLM is one that can take the prompt and gives a response that simplifies the information without making any assumption. I believe a good LLM is one that takes the prompt and gives a response that simplifies the information without making any assumptions. Denelson, are you saying that it asks questions back? Like you're saying it asks clarification questions? Is that what you mean? Let me know exactly what you mean by that. Without making any assumptions. Because, you're hitting on two different things that I've observed, Denelson. One, unless you specifically ask it to, an LLM will basically never ask clarification questions, right? And two, as I've spoken before, I've run into situations where the correct answer is to say, I don't know, right? LLMs are not good at saying, I don't know, or that answer is not possible. They force an answer no matter what. Is that good? Is that bad? I think there's instances where that is bad, right? I've come across those instances where it should have told me no, not possible, but it insisted on giving an answer. It hallucinated an answer, right? So is that what you mean? Because those in itself are kind of like, I think, two massive gaps in LLMs, right? I have yet to see an LLM that tells you I don't know. But we as humans say that all the time, right? Because we know our limits. We know the boundaries of our knowledge. We know the boundaries of what we've studied. LLMs are not aware of that, right? Again, not sentient beings. Denelson says, yes, because sometimes they can just give an answer that has nothing to do with the prompt I give it. Yeah, absolutely, Denelson. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've come across that same scenario where the right answer is I don't know. Right? And like I said, maybe if one of you guys can correct me in the chat. I'm happy to be wrong on this, but I don't think there's any LLMs out there that have that capability to say I don't know, or what you're asking is not possible. I have yet to see an LLM that does that, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys have a use case for that, or you guys know I use ChatGPT. Maybe Claude does it. I don't know. Rex says, do we humans know our limits? There's lots of pseudo experts out there. Yeah, sure, Rex, you're right about that. Humans can hallucinate answers for sure. I guess I was meaning more like, like for me, my worst subject in high school was chemistry. I hated chemistry. I still don't understand it. So if somebody asks me about chemistry, I'm smart enough to say, I don't know a thing about chemistry, right? Like, I was a terrible student. I don't remember anything. I don't read any of my old books. Like that, I know that clear boundary of I am not a good resource for chemistry questions. So that's what I was meaning more, Rex. Like the obvious boundaries, right? Like if you ask somebody, can you help me with this calculus problem, and they never took calculus, they'll probably tell you that, right? Like the obvious or quote unquote obvious boundaries is what I was referring to. But I hear you, Rex. There are a lot of pseudo experts out there. Certainly plenty on social media, right? So Makuta says there's good LLMs, but the users have to be good at using them too. Yeah, Makuta, but hallucinations in LLMs is a thing, right? Like nobody's denying that, right? LLMs do make mistakes. So yes, the user has to have some skill, but LLMs are not perfect, right? They make mistakes, right? I think all of us can come up with an example of a really bad hallucination that it made, right? So Makuta, I think it's like 20% on the user, on the prompter, and 80% on the LLM, right? As far as like the severity of the mistakes, right? But let me know what you guys think about that one. Maybe there's some of you who do feel like you need to work on your prompting skills. Or maybe some of you feel pretty good about your prompting skills, right? For me, I feel like I'm middle of the road. But, if you guys attend the Sunday sessions, you've seen me do the prompts. I do okay with the prompts. We haven't gone wrong too many times when we get the code and all that, right? So, yeah, there's some skill in the user, but the bigger mistakes is going to come from the LLM itself, I think. So Leo says, what bothers me today using LLMs is when they assume that you'd like next, and they generate a massive amount of information, making it harder to target what you want to adjust from your prompting. Yeah, absolutely, Leo. Absolutely, I agree with that. There's definitely plenty of instances where it tries too hard. Right? It tries too much. It gives you too much info, right? I think I shared that with you guys. I tried to use Perplexity, and I just wanted to bake some chicken, right? So I went to Perplexity and I said, I have some chicken I'm gonna bake. How many minutes and at what temperature should I bake it? Like that was literally my prompt. I just wanted to know chicken is best cooked at 300 degrees for 40 minutes or whatever the answer is, right? And it gave me like these pages and pages of chicken and how to cook it, how to season it, how to spice it, like all this stuff. And it's like, I just want to know time and temperature, right? And you know what, guys? That was the last time I used Perplexity. I was kind of turned off, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know about this. This is kind of excessive, right? So, yeah. So Leo, I'm totally with you on that, right? Like, I just want this little piece of information. That's it. That's it. Rex says, I usually tell LLMs to be concise and clear. Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's my fault. Maybe I should have included that as part of the prompt, right? Give me the most brief answer. Yeah, maybe. Makuta says, LLMs need data from the user at the same level as the user needs data from the LLM. LLMs need data from the user at the same level as the user needs data from the LLM. Maybe. But in a lot of scenarios, I want the LLM to be smarter than me, not to be at my level, right? Of course, it's possible that I'm misunderstanding what you said. But I want the LLM to give me a more high-level answer than I'm able to come up with, right? Because that's where the insight is. I'm not getting a lot of insight from you if you're just talking back to me at my level with my level of knowledge, right? So what do you think, Makuta? I kind of want the LLM to be smarter than me, right? Or in some cases, I'm gonna give you guys the counter argument against what I just said. But there is also the concept of the external hard drive, right? That no humans need to remember anything anymore because there's always a way for you to look up the answer, right? Like my example with the chicken, baking the chicken, right? Like I no longer have to remember that in my head. Whenever I need that, I can just go to an LLM and ask the question, right? So if you're talking about that, then I can see that, Makuta, right? Where it's just my external hard drive. So I'm just gonna give it a quick question. And I just want the quick answer back and I'm done with it, right? So if that's what you mean, I get it. But if I'm generating code or researching something or whatever, I kind of want it to be smarter than me, right? Excuse me. Leo says, to get or fine-tune an LLM that is trained for a specific task or field, you don't really need a 70 billion parameter, for example. That's why I question what is a good LLM. Oh, okay. Okay. So Leo, if you go narrow on your data, you better be deep, right? At least that's the conventional thinking in data management, data science, whatever you want to call that, right? So is that kind of like what you mean? Like you'd rather have it be highly, highly specialized rather than, broad? Let me know. Rex says LLMs don't read minds yet. But they're getting close, right? They're getting close. I mean, you can talk to them. So how far is that from, the Neuralink implant in your Elon Musk improved brain talking to an LLM? Right? That can't be too far away, right? Lalman from Nepal. How are you? Our good friend Lalman. Hey Dennis, glad to be back. Finally got relief from college assignments for some time. Good morning, although it's 9:20 p.m. here. Okay, cool. Thanks for sticking around, Lalman. I'm glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. Finally got relief from college assignments. Good. Glad to hear that. Glad to hear that classes are progressing. We have a couple of students, that follow me. Obviously a couple of computer science students that follow me and they started shaking their fists at me yesterday. But glad you're here, Lalman. So Lalman, the question right now is what makes a good LLM? What's a good LLM to you? So feel free to, follow along or give your opinion if you'd like. Leo says the industry is trying to show its advancements by showing how skilled the LLM is on generalizing, meaning more data, more parameters, better performance. Summarizing, we already have pretty good ones. Yeah, okay. But so you're not on board with the generalizing, is what you're saying, right? You'd rather have the more specialized LLMs. At least I think that's what I'm hearing from you, but let me know. Starry Vibe says, maybe accuracy in generating reliable, contextually relevant, and unbiased content. Yeah, okay, that's a good one. So Starry Vibes, I like that you're hitting on a very key word of unbiased content. Super complex issue, right? Like, how do you grade that? How do you grade the level of bias in content? I know. There's some studies out there that attempt to do it. And in fact, I read one just like in the last 2 weeks. So I get it, right? I'm kind of asking it a little bit rhetorically. But from an effective, like long-term view, how do you really protect from bias in your data? It seems like that's a deceptively difficult thing to control, right? But let's say you attempt it. Let's say you're not successful at it, for whatever reason. How do you remove bias from your results? Are you going to rebuild your LLM from the ground up? You'd kind of have to, right? Or, as we've talked before, one of my concerns is that, okay, we know OpenAI did data scraping, and now they're backing down from that because they're being sued. They're avoiding the lawsuits by signing these licensing deals with these publishers, right? But now, because of that deal, because of that narrow focus of that deal, you're no longer getting a lot of voices. You're just getting the voice of the people that you signed the licensing deal with, right? Is that positive? Probably not, right? I'm really not on board with that, right? Because that in itself is a form of bias. Because now you're only getting those editors, those writers, that editorial board's view, right? But how do you avoid that? You can't have a licensing deal with everybody, right? Starry Vibe says, because I see that almost all LLMs are biased now. Okay. All right, so here's the thing, Starry Vibes. All right, guys, so here's where we're going to go a little bit off into the woods, but everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. Here's the challenge with what you wrote, Starry Vibes. What is biased from a reader perspective, right? I described it from the LLM's perspective, right? You're biased if you only sign with some companies and you're only getting their view, right? Okay. But what about you? What about you as a recipient? Like, how do you judge whether something is biased or not? And I'm not challenging you on it. I'm asking that rhetorically, because I think that as humans, it's natural for us to say, "Oh, I agree with that. These guys are great." Or, "Oh, I totally disagree with that. Oh, that's biased," right? Like, it's kind of our own confirmation bias, right? You like the things that agree with your worldview, right? But that's the definition of confirmation bias, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just you being human, right? So what's biased to one person, what is a biased result from an LLM to one person may sound great to another person, right? So how do you handle that? You can't please everybody, right? Like, no matter what you put out there, no matter how you created it, somebody's going to be upset with you, right? That's just the way of the world, right? So Starry Vibes, do you have a thought on that? Like, how do you as a data scientist overcome that? Kind of can't, right? I can't control, like, when I'm doing my social media stuff and putting my content out there, I can't control how people will reply to it. I'm just putting out stuff, and some people will like it, some people will hate it, right? So aren't the LLM companies kind of like in that same scenario? Right? Leo says, I'm not on board with the idea that a better LLM must know everything about anything. We can make better use from exploring specialized one. Okay. All right. Leo, you could talk me into that. The thing is that I don't want to end up in a future where there's like, to get through your day, you have to use like 30 different tools. Like, I don't want to have to like switch constantly from LLM to LLM to LLM based on what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, and also I think that's what we're accustomed to, right? We're accustomed to one thing that knows it all. And I'm referring to Google, right? Like, Google does not have specialized search engines. Well, I guess, images could be a specialized search engine. But generally speaking, like, there is no separate, like, Google search engine for baseball versus one for cars versus one for academic stuff, right? So yeah, well, I'm okay with that, Leo. Just don't give me 30 LLMs to get through the day, Like, isn't that a danger? Do you see that as a danger? Connect, welcome. I think it's your first time. We always ask people to introduce themselves. Let us know your city, state, province, country, okay? Rex says, the concept term bias tends to be misused quite often. Um, yeah, I agree with that, Rex, right? I agree with that. I think there's a lot of ways for you to interpret that, right? But again, I just think it's people being human, right? It's only human to say, "Oh, I read this and I like what the guy said because it agrees with my worldview. This guy's a genius," right? And you assign positive things to that writer, that content, that whatever, right? So that's bias, but that's just human, right? What do you think, Rex? Or maybe, Rex, you want to give an example of when you've seen it most poorly used, right? We're keeping the chat professional, right? Everyone here is keeping it professional. But, I'm sure we all have our examples of that. So Rex says, well, there's RAG that helps LLMs to be more specific, specialized. Sure. Yeah. RAG definitely plays a role into that, right? Makuta says, is the way how LLMs are trained can make them biased. Makuta, I don't think it's the method, it's more the data that you put into it, right? Excuse me. In theory, you would avoid or lessen the possibility of bias by taking a very broad view, right? You can't be biased if you take in everybody's opinion, right? If you take in everybody's opinion and incorporate it, then kind of hard to be biased in that scenario, right? Now, when I say that, I'm assuming that they are treating all sources on equal weights, right? That no one document or source or whatever is being weighed any differently. So that's an assumption on my part. It may or may not be the case, right? These tech companies do all kinds of nasty, shady things in the background, right? So maybe that's true or not. But if you're willing to take in a broad source of information, then generally speaking, you should be able to avoid bias. As far as like the model building side, there's, I'd have to think about this further, but there's really only a couple of other places where I could think of where you could build bias into the system. So for example, for those of you that have worked with NLP models, there's this concept of stop words, right? Of words that you want to drop or you want to exclude from your data, from your model building, right? And usually you would use your stop words would be like particles, right? Like things like that, right? Like the short letter particles. And each language would have its own set of stop words, right? The stop words in English are not the same as the stop words in Spanish. Could one of these companies build in additional stop words for individual topics or regions or people or whatever? Sure, right? I mean, you guys know how these companies, you guys know how I feel about these companies. These companies are run by sociopaths, right? So could they be doing that? Kind of fudging the results that way? Sure, right? That's possible, right? But other than that, Makuta, I don't think that there's that many other opportunities to intentionally bias your model. Like I said, I'm assuming equal weighting, but they could be doing different. They could be doing something on the pre-processing side for different weighting too, right? But in theory, if you take a broad view and you include everybody's opinion, whether you agree with it or not, then you're lowering your probability of ending up with a biased model. Shubham, remind me where you're from, Shubham. I can't remember if this is your first time or not, but feel free to let us know where you're from, okay? All right, so Starry Vibe says, for me, a biased LLM is one that provides answers that favor one perspective while disregarding or validating another, often due to imbalances or gaps in its training data. Yeah, but whose perspective are you talking about there, Starry Vibes, right? I mean, one person's going to really love it, one person's going to really hate it. You can't say that they're wrong, right? It's like some people would say, "Oh, well, that doesn't sound biased at all," and other people are going to say, "Whoa, that's terribly biased," right? So how do you, as the recipient, measure that? Like, you almost can't control it, right? Like, if somebody writes something that you agree with, basically no one says, "Hey, yeah, that's great. I love that perspective. I just hope that they went out and looked at the other perspective and they gave the other person a fair chance." Like, very few of us think that way, right? So what's biased? Whose perspective is really upset? Somebody's going to be happy. Somebody's going to think it's the greatest perspective in the world, right? So I don't know if there's an answer there. It's a tough one. It's a tough one, Starry Vibes. Leo says, I hear you. Yeah, Leo, I'm pretty sure you're referring to the multiple LLMs, right? I don't want to use like 20 LLMs in a day. Like, I think the max I want to use is like 2 or 3 in a day, right? Like, that's it. Even 3 sounds like a lot. I don't use 3 search engines a day, right? Like now, right? Like, when I do my social media publishing, I'm pushing out to 6 different platforms now. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. No, I'm pushing out to 7 different platforms because I added Blue Sky recently. I opened up a Blue Sky account. And that's a pain, right? Like, I don't like publishing out to 7 platforms. I want to just do 1 and be done with it. So yeah, Leo, like 2, maybe 3 LLMs a day. So what is that? Maybe 1 LLM related to work, and then just a general LLM like a ChatGPT that can answer anything. I guess that's okay. But who knows? Maybe you guys have a different view on it. Maybe one of you wants to have an LLM for every single part of your life. Some people like that, right? Some people like that highly specialized, very narrow implementation. If that's you, that's okay. It's not me. Leo says, I meant for specialized environments like production, management. You can have one that generalizes. Yeah, okay. So that's 2. That's 2 LLMs, right? As long as we're capping it at 2, right? 1 for work, 1 for general stuff. You know, that's okay. That's okay. I just don't want it to get too out of hand. Like, for example, Leo, would you want a separate one for like health questions versus the generalized model, right? So that wouldn't be part of your work model. But like health questions or financial questions, are those part of the generalized model, or do you want a special one just for health questions? Right? You can kind of start breaking it out there. Or maybe you'd want one just for your hobbies, right? Like, there's databases out there, you know, out there in the world for like specifically for baseball, right? That's all they track, and just baseball statistics in the database. So would things like that be their own LLM, like a sport or a hobby? I don't know. It's starting to get too much already. Like I'm getting frustrated just talking about it, and this is not even a reality. Like, just keep it simple, guys. Keep the LLM simple. And like I said, I kind of like that they're very broad. I'm impressed that you can ask it anything you want. Like, to me, that's part of the win. Like, that's part of why we should be excited about them. You know? But, you know, that's just how I feel. That's just me. That's just my own biased view, right? But, you know, some of you are going to have a different perspective. And that's okay. So guys, I want to remind you, Sunday, we're going to continue our series. We're going to continue our series on building a data science project from the ground up. I'm going to do some prep for that today because Sunday is going to require a little bit more prep on my part. So we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of excited, kind of nervous because I don't know how it's going to go. But for those of you that are new, on Sundays, we tend to do a little bit of a longer session, 2-3 hours. It's very instructional, lots of participation, lots of opportunities for you guys to give feedback. This week, we're going to be talking about pushing to production, how you actually get a model out there. So I think it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a good session. So feel free to join us Sunday, 1500 GMT. Otherwise, you can find me streaming Thursday to Monday, 1500 GMT. So in other words, I don't stream on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I take those days are off stream. But Thursday through Monday, feel free to come back. Sunday, going to be a great session. Look forward to having you guys there. So really appreciate the discussion. Really appreciate all of you. As always, please take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you guys next time.